Welcome to today's episode of Hope Springs Eternal, Longevity with the Greatest Generation. Today's podcast will explore the wisdom, resilience, and timeless lessons of those members of the greatest generation, the men who grew up in the shadow of the Great Depression, came of age during World War II, and helped shape the modern world we live in today. Whether you're interested in health, history, or simply inspired by the human spirit, this place is for you. And today I'd like to welcome my special guest co-host, Stacy Case. Stacy, please take it away. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining us. We have this amazing opportunity to sit with two World War II veterans. And I am just so excited to be here with you all today. A little bit about me. I'm a 32-year TV news veteran, retired a couple of years ago whenever the news business became not about journalism anymore. And I am just delighted to be with you all today.
Excellent. We're so pleased to have you. So without further ado, because they ain't getting any younger, let's introduce our two special guests, the youngins of this group. First off, we have the youngest of the young, Mr. Jack Moran, a 100-year-old World War II Army veteran who served in the Atlantic Theater in Europe, and his ageless co-star, Mr. 100-year-old Navy vet, Bill Dillon. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
This is a unique opportunity. Not only do we have an Army vet and a Navy vet, but we have an Atlantic Theater and a Pacific Theater vet. So two different experiences, two different service branches, and two different great stories of truly we have here. Who needs an Encyclopedia Britannica? You got it sitting right here. Stacey, it's just amazing that we're going to get this opportunity. So I'd like to start off with asking each of you. We'll always go youngest to oldest, because we want to respect our elders. What made you join the military, and what made you join the specific branch of the military that you ended up joining?
Well, the government at that time, when I enlisted, I was 17, the government was offering special programs, school programs. You're going to go to university, you got to study physics, etc. And that was wonderful. So I signed up for that. Two months after the program unfolded at the university, they canceled it. All over the country, they canceled the ASTP program and sent all these good, intelligent young men into the infantry. Deflating, of course, our not our eagles, but to our hopes. We wanted to go someplace and get there, but they put us all in the infantry. No qualification. Just you can carry a rifle. You're qualified, and
Keep it simple.
And so many of these young boys were wounded badly or killed. It just wasn't. It's just what is shame to waste all that potential intelligence, that potential to develop good citizens in different in medicine and in science and everything, but they just it was just cannon fodder. So the Army in 1944, the end of 43, took a very bad beating in the Kasserine Pass in Tunis. And so the generals in Washington all screamed, "We need more bodies. We need not probably didn't say that in public, but we need more kids and these kids are the ones who are going to carry the load." It's not they don't want 30 and 40-year-olds out there. They want young kids who can are I guess then you say stupid enough to allow them to impose this system. honestly. It was just a shock. It was terrible. It was sad. I'm so happy that I survived. I'm preparing a speech right now to give soon, and talking about my friends who were shot down and who survived but are damaged for life. And they've had tough lives, a lot of them. But war is hell, of course. Uh, we're, I'm 50 yards away from some young German kid, 18 years old or younger. His orders are to kill me. I'm over here, and my orders are to kill him. And it's a tough situation. You just try to stay alive, keep your butt down,
Just amazing the work the work that you've done for our country, and we want to hear all aspects that you're willing to share today about your service and storming the beaches of Normandy and helping end World War II. Amazing. Bill, how about you? I know that you left high school as a junior to join in this fight. Why were you so convicted to do that?
Yeah, my reason is entirely different than Jack's, because I'm much older than he is. And so I had more experience with respect to how bad the Depression finally got to us. But anyway, what happened to me is that World War One just finished off in 1917. And of course, I was born in 1924, so there was a gap in between there. And the American people had pretty much had forgotten a lot about World War One, and the reason for it, of course, that it had nothing near the technology that we got today. All you had was the newspapers and the newsreels and the movies and that kind of stuff. And so when the war came here, and I said, mentioned earlier that I was one of 12, and when the Depression hit us since I was born in 1924, the Depression hit in 1929. And if you recall, everything crashed overnight. And so so I had some experiences from 24 on, and I lived through the whole Depression. So therefore, there were just no jobs. You couldn't buy food anywhere. You finally got on coupons, and I can talk quite a while, and I'm not going to, but so one of my reasons was I was going to go back and go to war, and I had no idea what a war was, and neither did the American people. But anyway, it was going to give me 3 meals a day. I was going to have a bed to sleep in. They're going to take care of me, and they're going to give me a gun and send me to war. And look back at that as a 17-year-old kid, that was exciting. So I was excited to go, and I have had a career, and I'm not going to go through it with it now. We'll talk about it, but I have had a career that's absolutely, totally unbelievable, and you just can't believe it. But by the time you are through here, I hope you get some idea of what how we were taught in high school and how good the teachers were and how just how good they were. So the question was, Mike, different than Jack's. I was just getting the hell out of the house, and it was another guy that my dad didn't have to feed.
That's awesome. As you know, one of the themes of today's talk is longevity, and considering that you guys are both centurions, and there aren't that many of those World War II vets still around. I'd like for each of you to kind of just say, like, what's one thing or one secret or one thing that you do every day or as often as possible that keeps you 100 years young?
You want to go,
Okay.
Jack?
For the last 50 or 60 years, for breakfast, I take 2 things: a banana and a whole grapefruit. I don't take any toast and coffee and sugar on cereal, stuff like that. I mean, that's my breakfast every morning for 50 years. And that's all I had this morning, and I'm not hungry yet. So my body is adapted to that particular regimen. But this body is the greatest thing ever built, and you know that. And we have to take good care of it. We have to stay away from cigarettes, stay away from pills, uppers and downers, whatever they have. You got to just get proper rest and just be smart. Take good care of your body.
How about you, Bill?
Again, this is why we got one working in the Pacific and one working in the Atlantic. Mine was just entirely different also. I believe my long life to a lot of things. One thing is I tell is always stay busy. I mean busy. And here I am at my age going on 102, and I'm busier now than I was when I was working. So and the second thing is education. So here's a young kid, and I had no idea that I was going to go to college in no way, shape, or form. But when as growing up, I was really good at math, and so when we were in high school, there was a friend of mine, Bob Helbeck, who turned out to be my best friend. And when the weekends come, I played football. I was a letterman. I was right halfback and played, and I got lettered in that. But we became really good friends. And what we did, we would compete with each other on the weekend. He'd come to my house, I'd go to his house. And what we were studying math at that time. And then we competed with each other when we went to class. We wanted to see who the heck would wind up with the best grades. Sometimes he would win, sometimes I would win. So you answer the question that you're asking, I say that what really is lasting my long life was those two things. But the biggest thing that ever happened to me was running into that beautiful woman who turned out to be my wife at 13 years of age. And she participated in all of that. And the stories I got when I was going to college, I'll tell you how she practiced with me and work and all the identities in calculus, integral calculus and differential calculus, and all the identities. Anybody that is good at math, you look at it, and you could give me an equation. I don't care how long it was. I could shorten that equation up and get it to where it's really survivable, not survivable, but you could answer the questions you got.
Solvable,
So
yeah.
the bottom line is that my dear wife, good friends, keep busy, and education.
Now you're famous for also adding a shot of bourbon, isn't that true?
Well, but that came later.
Well, it just so happens that it just so happens for today we have a shot of bourbon for Bill. Because I've hung out with Bill long enough to know that
This
you
came
gotta
out.
have the right stuff. And as I recall, Jack, he likes beer.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm a bourbon drinker.
all right, well, there we go. Well, we
He's
got
an
plenty-
equal opportunity employer here. Yeah, serve him up.
This is some straight up handcrafted in Kentucky.
Uh,
As I recall, you guys like it with ice. So
Yeah.
I got some ice and this will make the podcast go even better.
Great
So I'll let you
host.
take-
Let's
yeah,
cheers. I have water here. We'll have to
yeah,
cheers.
We'll have a toast in 1 second here. Just give me 1 second. Put some ice in there.
While he's
And,
putting that together, really incredible that you came back from war, Bill, and got your GED and then got your degree from the University of Florida. And so you're saying never stop learning, never stop learning.
Absolutely. Can I expand on that a little bit or not?
Please. This is your floor.
Well, let
You
me
have the
tell
floor.
No, what I'm telling you about when they sent me to the Navy, and I won't go through the whole stories, but I just talk about education a little bit. All right, the way we were taught in high school, the high school that we were taught in it was equal to probably a master's degree in the colleges today. But anyway,
Oh,
so I went through. I went to service when I was only a junior in high school, 17 years old, and then I joined. Got on the war, got all the way through the war. Now the war is over after 5.5 years, and I wanted to get out of the service because that time I had one. I was already married. Got married on January the 5th. By the way, had my wife survived, this last January would have been the 80th wedding anniversary, and I lost her about 8 years ago. But anyway, so coming out of school, coming when I got out of the service, what did I do? I went back to high school. I was going back to high school with 2 kids. I think high school. Can you imagine it? So anyway, so I got my GED, and when I got my GED, I went down, signed up at college, and I went to Jacksonville Junior College first, and then the University of Florida, and I got my degree in 1951. But after I got my degree in electrical engineering, and then I went to work, and then I eventually got my master's degree in systems management, and then I continued on, and I started UCLA, and I started working my PhD, and I didn't finish my PhD because by then I had 7 kids. And even today, even before John got me over here today, I was already on YouTube, and I don't just watch movies and everything else. I search on YouTube. How do you do this? How do you do that? How you do this? How you do that? And I look at the backgrounds of different people. So the answer to the question was, I think. Well, I'll say one other thing. After about 5 years after I graduated, listen to this, after 5 years, I had 4 doctors, 4 PhDs on my staff. Here's a kid came out of school with no education, and 6 years later, 5 or 6 years later, he's got 4 doctors on his staff. And you know what their job description was? Do what Dillon tells you.
So with that, we
There
gotta
you
have
go.
a cheers. We have to have a cheers to.
Cheers.
First, I'd like to point out that whiskey is on the new food pyramid, and Dr. Oz says, you can drink alcohol, just not for breakfast. I think we're at lunch now, gentlemen. So let's have a cheers to Bill and Jack, and to intellectual curiosity, to longevity.
Okay, good.
And
Thank
good
you.
health. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I'll sip it too.
There's nothing like a good bourbon, not in the bottom shelf, but the top shelf stuff. And
This is supposedly some of the best.
I drink bourbon every day.
Every day, yeah. See,
Every
there you
day. Every day. Okay.
Absolutely.
Every day I have a big Manhattan.
go.
That's great. Jack, I want to ask you a couple of questions here. You talked about food, and you sound like you're very particular about the fuel that you put into your body. And both of you growing up in a time of scarcity and just really having to scrounge for food to eat. And I mean, Bill, you said that's why you went into the military, because you knew you'd get 3 meals a day. The MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again. You all are familiar with that?
Not me.
No.
You're not? Okay. It's a new movement, and really going back to eating real food, whole food, and exactly what you were talking about, Jack, a grapefruit and a banana, not the sugary cereal. And you all grew up in a time of scarcity where you didn't have all of this processed food. You ate potatoes, you ate cabbage, you ate beans, you ate very simple foods. And then you fast forward, and the foods that we have now, they're in packages, they have 50 ingredients, 49 of those probably are not good for human consumption. Is it hard for you all to continue eating the way that we should eat, and with all of these various things that we now have, these prepackaged things? Do you all even eat that junk?
Oh.
Jack?
Well, first of all, you don't know for sure what's in the food that you're getting today, the processed foods.
Right.
And you like you might like the taste of it, but sometimes those processed foods are not good for you.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, that doesn't make any difference because from the Depression, we didn't have any of the good stuff anyway. All we had was, like you say, the lettuce and tomatoes and the stuff that was actually grown. And they still delivered. Oh my goodness gracious, this thing could go on forever. But anyway, they still delivered the stuff by horse and buggy. And of course, we didn't even have a refrigerator. It was an ice box. And we used to hang a sign in the window, 25, 50, 75, 100. What that would tell the iceman how much ice to put in the ice box.
Mhm.
And he'd come in with his tongs and put it in there. The door was wide open. We never locked our door. He'd come in, put it in the ice box and leave. He didn't even get any money yet because people didn't have the money in their head anyway. And the Iceman knew that, but he knew eventually he was going to get paid. So the bottom line was we really didn't have a much of a choice except to eat not processed food. In fact, there was no, let's face it, just face this. Oh my goodness gracious. There was no Walmart, there was no store, there was no stores like that. There's just mom and dad little grocery stores. And not one single solitary freeway, not one was built in these United States when we were growing up. None. All right. We didn't even have a radio, for heaven's sake. It wasn't even put on the news until 1927. Okay. And so we didn't have enough, we didn't have the opportunity to hear all the junk. Now I go to the service and the same thing. I never smoked, I never drank, I didn't share. And when it comes on Sundays, I had my own mass. I'd say my own prayers and everything else. And that's the way life was. In other words, I guess you want to say we were growing up pure, I guess, because there was nothing. You can see how I'm talking here. It's just, oh, I guess I've had such a career, it's just unbelievable. But anyway, I didn't have an opportunity to eat those kind of foods anyway. I still don't.
Which is probably why you're still here.
Huh?
I want to tell you something about ice boxes.
Yeah.
My wife and I, when we first got married, we had an ice box. And underneath there's a big pan underneath catching the water as the ice melts. And every once in a while, we'd go out for a weekend or a party or something and come home and we'd forgotten to dump the water. And the living room would be flooded, or the kitchen would be flooded because we failed to dump the ice water.
It's just a different time.
Let me
Go ahead.
Let me tell you a little bit different here too. It goes back here. I'm one of 12, and like I said, my mother had 12 of the family, and of course, mom and dad, and then grandmother. It was 15 people. There was 15 people living in a three-bedroom house. There were 7 boys that slept in one bedroom and 5 girls in another. And mom and dad had the other, and grandma slept on the couch. But if you could pick, I never slept on a bed until I got in this. In fact, it took me a long time before I ever slept. I still don't sleep in a bed. But anyway, I didn't sleep in a bed. I slept in a cot. There just wasn't room for us guys. So if you look at the background, you know, where we come from, Jesus, we had nothing. We just didn't have nothing. And so we didn't have a choice. I got other things to say, but it just slipped my mind. So let's go.
That's okay.
Okay.
In addition to the longevity, the historical knowledge that the two of you guys have, the history that you represent, you're not just 2 World War II vets. You're not just a Navy vet and an Army vet. You guys participated in some of the most iconic battles and iconic missions in the history, not just of World War II, but in the history of our country. And so we're going to go one at a time because this is going to be the best part. But we're going to
Fascinating.
start with you, Jack. When did you get to Europe? Was it before D-Day or right after D-Day that you arrived to France?
Yeah, right after, because I was fighting. I was fighting in France. Paris had already fallen, and I turned 19 right after that. So then they allowed us into combat. Big deal. And do us a favor.
And you were in Patton's army, correct?
Yeah.
George, the George Patton army.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I get to tell you a story about George.
Please.
Please
Am I
do.
allowed? Am I allowed to use bad words?
Yeah. go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah. We were going up to the front one day in open bed trucks. We never traveled in a heated bus. It was always an open bed truck. Reaching our clutch all, no blankets, no bedrolls. And the road is blocked. There's a truck in front of us, truck in front of us is having trouble. You could tell that by the sound of the engine. And I'm sitting there hanging over the side and look right next to me, one a foot and a half away, here's George Patton sitting there. And George is a very impatient man. He wants to go. But the road is blocked. So George's driver hollered out and said, what's the matter up there? Let's get going. The guy in the truck hollered back, I can't move it, I'm gonna burn out the clutch. And George hollered back, burn that son of a bitch out. And when the driver looked back and saw the red flag with two white stars on it, he knew who it was. So he pulled his truck into the ditch and George went tearing down the road. And as of this moment, I am the only living person in the world who saw both George Patton and MacArthur. I saw both of them.
And two different
Yeah,
locations.
on opposite sides of the world, yeah. But I'm very close friends with George's granddaughters. She's a dear friend of mine, and I'll be seeing her a couple times this year. I've been taking 8 trips a year, 8 in 23, 8 in 24, only 7 in 25. But I already got 4 trips lined up for this year, and I don't know how long I can keep on traveling. But Susie goes with me. And it was wonderful.
Yeah, you just
Jack-
returned from the Battle of the Bulge. So if you
That's
want to
right.
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Talk about cold.
Yeah, talk about now, but thankfully this time there was very little snow on the ground. No, it wasn't snowing, but the temperature was down in the 13, 15 degree temperature. So it was cold, but we had a wonderful time. Met the King and Queen of Belgium and the new American ambassador, a real nice guy. He's a sweetheart. And old friends and new friends. And since I came back home, 2 or 3 of our old veterans have died already just in the past couple of weeks. And it's all good.
Yeah, it's tough.
You can't stop it.
Jack, those first 6 days, 96 of your fellow men were killed, 113 wounded. How did you stay alive? You were in the foxhole for 6 days. How did you survive? The resilience
Well,
that you two have is so inspiring.
It's just I thank God every day for saving my soul. I've had bullets go through my clothes, bullets in my wood in my gun, shrapnel in my shoes and in my clothes. It's just a miracle that I survived on the Rhine River in the middle of the night, sneaking across the Rhine River, and the Germans lighted up like a night football game, and they opened up on us with heavy machine guns, and we probably lost 70 men in the water that night. It's just and you got to keep doing your job. You just got to keep going. Hopefully, our leadership are doing the right thing and they're going to direct us and lead us. But there was some bad decisions made in different areas that were costly, cost a lot of lives. But it's terrible. I saw so many dead nice young boys laying in the ditches and in the snow of Belgium and in the mud in France. And they, it's a shame that these young kids didn't get a chance to go home and be a loving husband and a wonderful father. They lost that. They gave it up. Worked for the Americans, people to protect our country and what we believe in. And let's hope there are no more wars. The next one would be the last one if it ever comes. But let's hope there are no more wars.
That's awesome. Bill, you have the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
You were in the Navy in a submarine, the only submarine to sink a Japanese aircraft carrier in World War II. Kind of walk us through what that day was like.
well, before I get to that, John, I'd like to tell you and listen to what Jack had to say, and to see what a difference the war in Europe was and the war in the Pacific was. Jack didn't know where he's going to get his next meal, and he was carrying maybe 100 to 120 pounds of junk on his back and his gun and everything else, and crawling through the foxholes and all that sort of stuff, and on a daily basis. And now let's take me on the other side. But it takes all people to win this war. But anyway,
Yes.
you take a look at me. Now I'm on the other side. Hell's bells. I'm in the Navy. I get 3 meals a day. I get my food, and I got a nice bunk to sleep in and everything else. But my war is absolutely totally different than his. But it had to be one type of stuff. And what we went through is equally as bad as what Jack is discussing, but in a different way. And the different way that we did in submarines, I'm going to try to get you some idea what it means to be in a submarine in World War II. And here we are with about 85 guys. And what we would do, we go out to sea for 2 months at a time, and we never see the sun for the 2 months. And the only time we would surface is at nighttime to charge the batteries. But the big thing is we were submerged during the daytime to sort of keep us hidden type of stuff. But everybody on a submarine has to be super qualified. And what I mean by qualified, I mean you have to know everything about the boat. Well, just like Jack was talking, with all his equipment that he has and all the guns and everything he's using, he has to be an expert in that. Well, we had to be an expert in the total submarine that we're working on, and that you can't become qualified in a submarine until you know everything about it. You have to know where the water is, where the fuel is. You have to know how to shut the engines down, how you turn the engines on, how you fire a torpedo, how you work here, how you work there. But so our job was absolutely totally different. But we went through absolutely hell. We were in a pandemic. We were in a pandemic all the time. And we were used to, when it came to the pandemic, that this country falsely sold on the American people, which I think was stupid. But anyway, we were there and we were already attached. We were already adapted to what this thing was about. But from a submariner like that, we sweated. When we were being depth charged, we had to go. You couldn't turn the pumps on, and you couldn't readjust the depths of the submarine. You couldn't get the balance right. And how we did that was, hey, 3 guys forward, 2 guys aft. Hey, 8 guys center here. And then when we were getting the depth charge and water pouring through our submarine because of all the valves and everything breaking through, and hey, 12 buckets of water here, 8 buckets of water there, back and forth, only because we couldn't do that. So our life was entirely different, but it was daily. And so a submariner, submariner are a different kind of people in this sense. First, claustrophobia, yes, there was some, but soon we found out who they were, we got them off. But the rest of us, we were friends from that day forward. And before this interview is over, I think John's going to allow me to show you a book that I finally wrote with Stephen Moore, and the people that I work with are all gone. So everybody that I work with in submarines are all gone. They're all my friends. I'm the last one left. So the life in the Atlantic is so much. I mean, the life in the Pacific is so much different than what they were fighting on land. But I think everybody had to do their part. But I think I look back at it and I look at Jack and I think, God dang, I don't know how you guys did it. I really don't. And how you, well, don't give me too much on it because I'll start crying. But anyway, it was different. It was different.
It
Do you
was.
have the book? Why don't you show us the book if you have the book with
Yes,
you?
I have. With me.
Yeah, we
go
want to
ahead,
see your
Jack.
book.
Go ahead, Jack.
Right here.
Oh.
It's right beside your knees, Jack. It's right there.
Okay, okay.
I want to tell you a little bit about this book. How
We
this
want
book
to hear
came
about this
about.
book.
I'm going to show you this. See this book? I can't see it. Okay. This is called Strike of the Sailfish. And what this is about, a book about, this is the last 5 patrol, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the submarine I was on. And the, okay, I gave you, John, to let you show it. Anyway, and I'm going to turn it around. And on the back side of this thing, this is the crew, which I'll talk to you about for a moment. But on the front of this thing, it says, I was on the submarine during World War II, and this is the truth. And when I say it's the truth, it's the truth. Okay, but all these people on the back, every one of them are gone. Everyone. I'm the only one left. And if you look at the bottom row, the second row, third guy over, that's me in the top. But what this book is all about, it has nothing, zero to do with me. What I told, this book is written from an enlisted man's standpoint, enlisted man, not an officer, enlisted man. And what this did, I name the guys. I give them the name. I tell you who they are. I give you the rank. I tell you what they did. But I stayed in touch with the people after that. So this book is written for the enlisted guy and tell you what the heck we did in World War II. But as I told you earlier about education, when I was young, at 17, 18, 19 years old, and looking back, all we did, we were so disciplined, we just did what we were told. We didn't even think it, and then we did what we were told. Now I'm a well-educated man. I mean, well-educated. Now I look back at the decisions these skippers made during the war. They were absolutely, totally stupid, and they would never do it again today. And my book tells you that. And not only that, when you look at the logs, believe this is the truth, both for the Germans, the Japanese, and Americans. Don't believe the logs, because the logs only show what's good for the officers. Anything that's in the book that has any kind of detriment towards the officer, it's not written down. And so what happened? So we had, like I said, on the 9th patrol that we had, and I'm on the radar real quick, because John knows how long I could talk all week. But anyway,
We could listen all week.
we had one guy who's a commander of this submarine, okay? And he came on board, and I'm on a radar guy. And by the way, the radar guy is absolutely totally so important on a submarine in World War II. So in fact, it's not true today. Without a radar guy and a sonar and the communication guy, you don't have a damn thing. You might as well park that boat and you don't even get in it, because without the radar guy, you don't have nothing. And so of course, the officers know nothing about radar, because we were taught how to use it, type of stuff. But anyway, the stuff that we came across here, I saw, what I tell you, say a blip. What a blip means is the radar is going out and bouncing off of the ship that you're looking at, and you get a blip. The bigger the ship, the bigger the blip. The smaller the blip, it's a little thing. So on the ninth patrol, I saw a blip, blip, a blip, blip, a blip, blip, a blip, and I'm reporting. I'm in the conning tower. By the way, I'm between the conning tower and the control room. That's where I spent all 3 years of my time on the submarine. So I was right in the middle of the action all the time. But anyway, I'm reporting all this to the TDC type of thing. And what do you think happened? As soon as I reported it, I get the direction, everything else, the submarine turned around and went the other way. What the hell are you talking about? You're going the wrong direction. Anyway, make a long story short, we went out with all of our torpedoes. We came back with all our torpedoes. And they transferred every single solitary officer off of my boat. 7 to everyone except one or two. I think the one remained was the commissary officer, which not much more. But what I'm telling you, they transferred. This is on the 9th patrol. And what did he do? He went back to a destroyer or a battleship or something like that. And I guess he got promoted anyway. But the guy ran. And what did he say? And he said, what I was doing was I was monitoring and I was going to report all of this information to Pearl Harbor. Well, who in the hell wants 2 months of data reported to Pearl Harbor? It has zero influence on how the war has been fought. That's stupid. But they didn't talk to people like me and other radar guys who saw it. It didn't even discuss it to us. What I'm telling you is it's later in my life when I really got educated, and I look back and I think, it's so bad that this guy was. He should have been court-martialed. I say it in my book, and he should be court-martialed today, even though he's long gone. But the guy was so bad. That's just one of the things on our trip. That's on our 9th patrol. But from then on, all we did was sink ships. From when Captain Ward came aboard, and he retired as, by the way, on my submarine, which is unheard of, on my submarine, because of the crew, not the officer, the crew, but 5 of the skippers on that became admirals. 5 off of one submarine. Look it up. You won't find any submarine that has 5 guys coming off. What does that tell you? That tells you how good we were. We were fantastic, and we were, like John knows, hell's bells. Don't get me to talking because I could talk for a week. But anyway,
We can listen for a week. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Scoot closer to Bill.
Why? Anyway, that's it for me. I'm trying to tell you
Incredible.
the difference. I'm trying to tell you the difference what Jack was going through hell. And his was so much worse than mine with respect to the physical aspect as getting shot at and everything else. But ours was different. Ours was a hell of a lot mentally also. But and then we're getting depth charge and then trying to save our boat. And we almost lost the boat 2 or 3 times, which if we get into it, I'll tell you about it, how we got it. This is the reason why. One of the reasons why I'm still here. I think it's one of the things here. I'm a history book. I'm a walking history book, and I can tell you exactly what the heck was going on that nobody else will tell you. Nobody. They just won't tell you. And then what do I have to gain for it? Nothing. I don't get a nickel or a dime or a penny for anything that I do, either then or now. Nothing. Everything I do is on my own. But anyway, that's who you're looking at and who's talking to you.
Oh, a couple of things. One, I never saw an officer in combat above the rank of captain. The colonels and light colonels and all the rest of them are hiding someplace, but they're not in combat. In land war, everybody's hoping to get $1 million wound. Just get wounded, not bad enough to kill you, but bad enough to have to go back to a hospital. A good friend of mine, Huey Gorman, got the first morning we're in combat. The first 15 seconds we're in combat. A German machine gun nails Huey and rips his face, practically rips his face off. They fire at a rate of 1,200 rounds a minute. Anyway, you can't go help that person when they're knocked down. You got to keep going. You holler for a medic to go back and check on that guy, but you may not. So that's the last you see that guy, no matter how close a friend he was. That's the last you see him. So I lost track of Huey Gorman, and he's a great guy. About 50 years later, I was going through some military documents and papers, and I found a 2-page article about Huey Gorman, telling about what he had gone through. His face was destroyed. He spent 4 years in a military hospital, had 13 operations to repair his face. Thankfully, he didn't touch his spinal cord or his brain. And I got Huey's phone number, so I called Hugh up, and he was delighted that we were able to talk. After we were very close friends, and he lives in Ohio. And I said to him, I said, Hugh, do you feel that you had $1 million wound after that, what you went through? And he said, hell yes. He said, that was $1 million wound. And I said, I imagine it cost the government $1 million to patch you, put you back together. Yeah.
Oh.
But everybody was hoping to get a bullet through their shoulder or through the leg, something like that, so they could get. Now, last but not least, talking about the officers in the cadre of officers of our regiment. The officers are about 4.5% of the cadre, of the total cadre. That's 4.5%. But of the Bronze Stars, Silver Stars, all the awards given out, those 4.5% got 47% of the medals. It's terrible. The politics. In combat, there's no officer in combat to see some nice young kid do something very dangerous and skillful, and he didn't get crap for it. But that officer go back and tell the first sergeant, write up officer number so and so if we're a Silver Star. It was sickening the way they handle that.
You hear what Jack is talking about? This, we have nothing to gain by telling you this, but this is the way life was. And when we had a captain come aboard our submarine on the 10th Foot Patrol. I'm going to just tell you something with how the crew worked. He came aboard, and on the 10th Foot Patrol, he got the Navy Cross. On the next patrol, he got the Silver Star. On the next patrol, he got the Navy Cross for the stuff that we did. Now you don't get those medals by nothing. What does that tell you? The crew was so goddamn good. They didn't care about anything and everything. All they wanted to do is get their job. How many medals did we get? Zero. And to this day, as of right now, as I'm talking to you, nobody on the government side has awarded me in any way, shape, or form anything for what I did. Although my kids wrote about, and I got two Bronze Stars with valor. As I told you before, I got the 2 President's Youth Citations. I got the Liberation Medal. I got combat medals and everything. But nobody ever presented it to me today. And I got with the 2 Bronze Stars. What did they do? They sent me a goddamn medal in the mail. Period. That's it. And only because my daughters wrote it for it. And I haven't seen the citations. Now, how you like that? And I am going on 102 years old. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm working on 2 things quickly. This is not a part of the presentation. I'm working on 2 things. One thing that the 20 guys that died on that aircraft carrier we sunk was my friends. My friends. I sunk my friends and I killed my friends, but I didn't know it.
They were POWs, correct?
But it was only after the war we found out. But what have they got? All they got was the medal, was the was the so when you get wounded, what is the name
Purple
of it?
Heart.
Purple Heart. That's what they have. But the captain, he gets a Medal of Honor. Here's the 20 guys. They got sunk twice. They got a silver. And he got nothing other than the Purple Heart.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to. I want to get them what they deserve. I want them to get the president to be what do you call it? Prisoner of wars, at least. Because why do I want them to do that? Because the benefits that they get, their family can get, their grandkids can get, is dramatic, and they haven't been given. The second thing I want to do, what I'm trying to do, I would like, I'd like to get out and talk to anybody and everybody. You should have medals for the enlisted men only. Period. In other words, if I'm a good radar guy, if I'm a good electrician, if I'm a good torpedo man, and I do fantastic work, why shouldn't you reward me by either give me a promotion or give me a letter or something like that? But they don't. So there's no medals for the enlisted guy. You can't get any officer can never do the job I did. No way. He could not do this. I just spelled you my name. And you just there's no way they could do that. And so the communications going out and coming back had to go through the radar. And when we dove, who took over the boat? The sonar guy, the sonar guy, nobody else. And I'm on the sonar all the time, and I'm reporting. So the only communications that the guy has is what I'm trying to tell you is the enlisted men, that they deserve a tremendous pat on the back, not the officer, but it always goes to the officers. I don't get me wrong, because I don't regret it at all in any way, shape, or form. That's the way life was, and we thought the way it was. We never thought it any differently. But now that I'm an educated man, I look back and I said, something is wrong here. So what we need to do, we need to develop a series of medals only for the enlisted guy because of the job that they can do. And what does the enlisted man care? He don't care, because when you give him a medal, that don't promote him from a third class to a second class to a first class. It might, but if nobody even recognizes him, so anyway, this is John tells you I'm a talker. Hell's bells, I can talk forever. But anyway,
Bill,
that's it.
this is wonderful, and I think that we need to work on this. We need to work on this. I mean, you have this wonderful idea. You've lived it, you've done it, and we need to work on this. So, Jack, we want to hear about your liberation of the Buchenwald Concentration Camp. Can you tell us about that?
I got there on day 2. The prison guards, of course, had all fled. They knew that if we caught them, we would kill them right on the spot for what they did. But in the prison itself, the conditions were horrible. The evidence of death was all around you. The poor survivors that were going to be evacuated from there were just dazed. They were walking around. They weighed 50 or 80 pounds maybe when they used to weigh 160.
Emaciated.
Yes, emaciated horribly. And they needed medical attention. They needed nutrition. They needed physicians to help them, help salvage their body as much as they could. But that was so bad that Eisenhower ordered all the people in the surrounding little hamlets and cities to come through the camp. And it was so bad that one of the burgermeisters for one of the little towns right around Buchenwald, this mayor brought his wife, and the two of them went through the camp with the rest of them. And the conditions were so bad that burgermeister and his wife went home and they hung themselves. Can you imagine that? Killing themselves because they couldn't stand the thought of what their fellow countrymen had done, the terrible things that they had done to the German people.
Mm.
Uh,
Do those images still haunt you to this day?
I beg your pardon?
Those images that the just it has to be just burned in your memory. Does it still haunt you to this day?
You think about it. Do you think about what you saw there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you
I
can hear
wake
me.
up, I wake up in the night and I think about the war and Buchenwald and things. I don't go into a sweat. I don't wake up screaming, but it's just the conscious thought of the terrible things that we saw and the terrible things that these people did.
And how long were you in the area dealing with the
Yeah,
camp?
it's just a couple of days. And then we headed for Czechoslovakia after that. And by this time, we were surrounded by displaced people, people that had been freed, who had been working for the Nazis in their farms, in their camps, in their factories. And we were absolutely surrounded by these people. And we couldn't corral them and put them in pens or anything like that. We just let them roam free.
Mm.
In one town, there was a brewery in one town. And these people had gone into the brewery and broken open the big hogsheads, 500-gallon hogsheads. And so beer was flowing all over the floor. The beer was about 6 inches deep. And these people all just went down there and were lapping up this beer. It's the first alcoholic beverage they'd had in years.
Yeah.
And they got drunk and their bodies lying all over. It looked like a battle had been fought, but actually just people passing out from drinking too much alcohol. But
Goodness gracious. You two are members of the greatest generation, and it seems whenever we get the opportunity to speak with the few remaining of the greatest generation, you all don't really think of yourselves that way. You're so humble about what you did and what you stood for and how you impacted so many generations after you. How do you all see yourselves as something extraordinary? The greatest generation?
You answer that, Jack.
well, we're the greatest generation, of course, that ever lived.
You are.
Yeah, we sacrificed so much. We had so many of our friends killed, so many of our relatives killed. It's just a very, very sad, sad time in our life. But thank God we survived. Thank God we won the war.
I'm going to tell you something a little bit different than what Jack is telling you. And this is the reason why that, God damn it, he and I love each other because we fought so differently, okay? And he was out in a hand-to-hand combat and seeing people and shooting them, face to face and fighting them, and climbing over trenches and everything else. But we didn't have that opportunity. But then he was killing them, by one at a time. But I was killing them by the thousands. So, and I never even saw these people. And he did. He saw these. What a difference. Picture this. This is why John Ward has got us on here, because we're so different between the two wars that we fought. Here's a guy who fought hand-to-hand combat with these people, and he sees them. And here's a guy on a submarine, and I never saw these, and I killed them by the thousands, including my friends, type of stuff. And so the war was so different. But the funny thing is this: I remember one time when the sampans were out there, because what the sampans were, they were very, very small vessels, but what the Japanese were doing, they were using it to track submarines and get the information and then get after us. But the thing about it was that, like, for example, Tokyo Rose, you just get on the internet, I guess you get on the radio and talk about this, thinking the Sailfish, at least twice. But the war that we fought in the Pacific was just so damn different. And I guess I just can't tell you. Jack's going to interrupt. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
When we entered the war, entered the army, and were assigned to combat units, we were given a book. The book was titled "The Psychology of Hate." They wanted us to hate the enemy. You can't be a good soldier unless you hate the enemy. I couldn't do that. I never could do that. If I've got a second, I'll tell you one quick story. An artillery observer, a good friend of mine, was out in the second story of a home one day, watching the shells crash out on the battlefield. And an 88 came right through the building, exploded, ripped out Bob's left kidney. And so he's laying on the floor, bleeding to death.
Oh,
Uh,
goodness.
And a few minutes later, the Germans attack the building and drive us out of there. But you can't take Bob with you. You haven't got time. So Bob's laying on the floor, bleeding to death. But we're all gone. About 10 or 15 minutes later, we re-attack the building and drive the Germans out. And Bob was laying there. No, but when the Germans drove us out, 3 Germans entered that room that Bob was in. And Bob said that I thought the first thing they would do was pull a Luger out of their
Right.
and blow my brains out. But one of the 3 Germans was a medic, and he had medical supplies with him. And so he wrapped Bob up real tight to stop the bleeding, the external bleeding, not the internal. But anyway, he said to him in his broken language, he said, if you don't get to a hospital within 30 minutes, you're going to die. And Bob knew that to be the case. So, but we attacked the building quick enough to save Bob and get him to a hospital. He lived. I've spent many visits with him over the years. But there was a good German. He believed in the value of life.
Humanity.
Wait a minute. Let me follow up with Jack. Let me follow up what Jack just told you. We were shows you the difference in the wars. We were out there on the sea, and we machine gunned a sampan out there and killed the people that was on the boat. But one survivor got in the water, and you believe us or not, I hate it didn't happen to us. We wouldn't do it, but we were instructed to to kill them no matter what, who now. But in this case, we didn't do it. What we did, we picked up this one guy and brought him aboard our submarine. Listen to this: we brought him aboard the submarine, and he became one of the nicest damn guys you ever want to run into. What he did was he became our cook. He would clean up on the things. In fact, what we'd do, and we'd chain him at night to the stanchion post, and so you wouldn't disturb anything throughout the boat. And one night we forgot to do that. Would you believe that he couldn't speak a word of English? We couldn't speak a word of Japanese, but he kept pointing at his leg. What he was trying to tell you, you forgot to chain me down. You forgot to chain me down. And listen, when he left the boat, we hated to see him go. The guy was just a nicest guy that you want to run into. And what did they do? They blindfolded him and took him aboard on Midway Island. And I don't know what happened to him the rest of his life. But what I'm telling you is, the people up in power send people like Jack and me out there to fight the wars for us, and they don't care about us really. And I get so upset when I think of what Obama and Biden has done to our country. They have destroyed it, and I get so goddamn mad. But
Anyway,
anyway,
that brings me to a question I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
So the war's over. You come home. If you look at different conflicts that we've had throughout history since World War II, the reception that people, the military veterans coming home, in particular the Vietnam vets, the reception they got wasn't the same as the reception you got. And now you see the veterans today coming back from the guys who came back either from the first Gulf War or from Iraq, Afghanistan. They got a reception that was maybe a little closer to the reception you guys got. But also, when you see like the post-war, like the suicide numbers, the PTSD, the different things going on. If you guys want to talk a little bit about what that was like and how your perception throughout your life, if you want to, because I know you're writing a story about it, so go ahead.
Yeah, and many soldiers shot themselves to get out of there. In the leg most of the time. And these people were court-martialed. Many cases they were found guilty. They were just given a dishonorable discharge. It's ruined their life, but they could not stand. They couldn't stand that fighting. It's just horrible to be in the middle of combat and things going all around you. So they just pulled out a gun and shot themselves.
And you know why? What? I'm going to follow what Jack is saying. And like I said, I'm a well-educated guy now, and I read history. I looked at all of this damn stuff, what have you. The every war that we've fought since World War II, we've lost every single one of them. The only war we ever really won was World War II, type of stuff. But the people in Vietnam, they were fighting with their hands behind their back because the government would not give them the proper equipment to do the job that they were given. And so they were doing this, like somebody tip you on the shoulder type of stuff instead of hitting you, So the poor guys out there fighting the war, and of course they had no idea what was going on, but the government was not giving them the stuff that they wanted that they needed to fight the thing.
So do you think that?
Anyway.
That begs a question. So do you think that the way the wars were fought and the ability to fight to win, do you think that contributes to the mental health issues that some of the veterans have?
Absolutely. Hey, in fact, they're almost treated as homeless type of thing. Hey, I don't know about Jack, but I can speak for myself. Listen to me, and of all the stuff that I'd like to finish up lately and tell you what the hell I did later. But look at me, at all the stuff I went through, and I applied for a VA disability in one way, shape, or form for 11 times, and they turned me down on every occasion. Why did they do that? And why? Because of the stupidity of the people that are interviewing you to try to find out whether or not you were entitled to something. What was the question they asked? The first question they asked was, how much do you make? Bad question, stupid question, shouldn't have been asked. It was a dumb question. What they should have asked you, what is your earned income? EARNED. What is your earned income? Well, my earned income was zero. The only income I got was Social Security and my my investments, whatever. That's not earned income. So once they found out my earned income was zero in 2019, they finally gave me a compensation, and I'm getting it right now. And what am I worried about?
Wow.
I'm worried about these stupid people in Washington now. They're looking at people like me. Now what they want to do, they want to reduce what they are providing me and provide us guys did the stuff at hell's bells. And like Jack here, the 100 million, the 101. What the hell? Are these people are crazy or are they crazy? So I'm concerned a little bit about these stupid people getting out there who's never fought a minute of war. They have no idea what it's all about, but they're sitting up there at a desk making some kind of a stupid democratic decision whether we should get this or not. So that concerns me. It's a
Both of
crazy
you,
country.
it is crazy.
I wonder what the hell I fought for.
Well, we want to thank you. We want to thank you. What you fought for is so important. And it makes me sad to hear you speak of the way that you feel our country has treated you and other veterans. But I appreciate you bringing all of this up and just continuing to raise the awareness. And John, we got to get to work on this. John Warden, we got to get to work on this, don't we?
Well, I work on it every day, as you know.
I know you do. I know there's just so much still to be done. But both of you, the greatest generation, you're built on commitment and your resilience and greatness. Every day you wake up aspiring for greatness. What do you want to tell this younger generation now
Jack,
about those character traits, greatness and commitment and resilience and
well, I'll speak ahead of Jack on this one.
okay.
Well, a type of
Go
thing.
ahead, Bill.
The bottom line is this: don't care about yourself. You are not really important. Period. It's like my dad taught me when I was growing up. Love people. Love, love people.
Yeah.
And if you take that in your life, you will never regret it. Period. And that you may find that you got. The big thing is if you find somebody who's really no good and you just can't stand them anymore, discharge them, get them out of your system. Don't let it interfere with your life. But the big thing is, look at the country that you're living in. It's the greatest country in this world. In this world. And here I am looking. You look at a guy almost 102 years old. I'm telling you, you could put me on a uniform. Hell, I'd go out. I'll be out there tomorrow. Tomorrow. Because I believe so much in this damn country of ours. Don't let anybody destroy it, called DEMOCRATS. You know what that spells. It spells STUPIDE.
Right,
Stupidity.
absolutely.
Go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead.
The smartest professor I had in college in economics, real brilliant guy. The last day of our academic year with him, he said, "Fellas," he said, "I want you to remember one thing. If nothing else, remember this: there is no such thing as a free meal." And it's so true.
Yeah.
They used to say that the expression was, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Someone's paying. May not be you, but someone is paying.
Yep.
It's always like that. So Bill, you brought something up. Okay, so the war ends, you come home, then what do you do?
I don't even want to. Can I summarize it?
You can say whatever you want to say.
Fell in love.
Let me just summarize it seriously, because it really is so important.
It's
And-
remarkable, honestly.
No,
I can't wait
no.
for our listeners to hear what all both of you have done after post-war.
Let me just summarize it. And
Yeah.
I don't want to spend any time on any one because it would take forever. But when I came back and got into this thing, and like I said, here's a high school graduate, and I got graduated, and within when I'm 51, and within 4 years, when they sent me to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, and maybe I said this earlier about it, when they sent me to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, is that they offered me the job to take over the entire department of Portsmouth, where they install all the submarine equipment and both the repaired submarines and all new submarines. In other words, I would control the entire department of everything on board the submarine. And they offered me that as a DS-11. I turned it down, but I won't discuss the reason why. But anyway, then what the hell next happens? Next thing, they transferred me eventually to RCA. And what did I become? I became, I developed the very first electronic checkout of launch vehicles. That, I can't tell you too much about that, but it was never done before. They used to take 3 to 5 days, and I completed that. When it was finished, we were finished. It took me 2 years to do that. Then what did I do next? Then they transferred me out here, and they took over the program for Secretary of the Defense, David Packard, to head up 21 engineers. to develop what they call far-term and near-term program. And what 5 years was what does the Air Force need within 5 years for their defense and offense, and next 5 years, what the same reason. And we published 4 documents on that, and one of them, that's where I worked on the GPS, where that I told you earlier, where I worked 92 hours to develop the GPS on the thing. Then what they had to do. And the next thing was they brought me over and we had a program called Consolidated Space Operations Center, which is the most secret satellite system we got in space, which is headed under was Lieutenant General on that thing. And I just showed John, and I got a diploma on that. I got a draft on that plaque, and you wouldn't believe it. To my life, to Bill Dillon, this was the most important plaque, security, or what do you want to call it, award I ever got my entire life. Not from the government, but from a Lieutenant General who is the head of the most secret satellite we have in space, called the Consolidated Space Operations Center. And John, do you have that picture there or not?
I put it up already.
I wanted to put this thing up. To me, I'm going to tell you something. This summarizes my entire time in the service, and I'm doing it today yet even further, and I don't get a nickel or a dime or a penny or nothing from it. So when John puts it up, let me talk about it just for a second. Let me see if he can get that up. Let me see if we can get that up.
It's on the screen. Go ahead.
Well, I don't see it.
It's on.
It's on there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now
Yep.
I want you to expand that, and I want you to review what it says. And this was given to me 6 years after I retired. Now look at that plaque, what that thing says, where it says that the work that I did, the diligence, the intelligence, that everything I did on a program was absolutely beyond anything that they had expected. Okay. And to
Excellence.
me, that's
Excellence.
my whole career. And
Greatness.
I'm so proud of that. I would die for it. I really do. I'm so proud of that. And that's how I want to, and I'm still doing it. Doggone it.
Still.
Did anybody read that?
Yeah. I mean, the greatest
Read the
generation.
words. Read the words and see what the words say. And you tell me what anybody could never, who could be more proud than that from a Lieutenant General, which I hadn't even met. And this 6 years after I retired, and I got something like that.
Do you want me to read it?
But bottom line is, today I have got nothing from my government. This is all done by other people.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. It says, in recognition of your commitment to the successful completion of the Consolidated Space Operations Center, Falcon Air Force Base from 1980 through the turnover in Air Force Space Command in 1993, your selfless devotion, perseverance, and expertise transformed a desolate prairie into the most advanced satellite control facility in the world. The Consolidated Space Operations Center will not only stand as a sentinel of our national security, but as a tribute to your achievement into the next century. Signed, Lieutenant Colonel John C. Ray.
Lieutenant General.
He says Lieutenant Colonel.
No, Lieutenant General.
Okay. At the bottom, it has Lieutenant General Edward Berry, Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center. There's a number of signatures on there.
Incredible. Bill. Wow.
Who
Gentlemen,
wants
go ahead.
Who wants any kind of award than that for their life's work?
Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah.
Just excellence across the board. Excellence.
Going back to the politics in the hierarchy of officers, in the Columbia, South Carolina Gazette, double column was printed one week the title on top was, this guy's, the name was Trump, coincidentally, Tupper captures castle. Here's a 2-column article about a battle to fight Castle Marshbury, which is right below that area in the waterworks. We lost them in there. And this article describes in great detail how that battle went, how many men it took, how many Germans were in the battle, in the castle, how many men got killed. It was just terrible. And that was printed in the Gazette. And to this day, I can prove to you that battle never occurred. The whole thing was fiction. So the colonel got some PR man to write up this battle, write it all up, make it look good.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was a totally false report. Not a single shot was fired as we entered that castle. But they had to write this colonel up so he could get another silver
Get his
star
medal.
or bronze. Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I was humbled to cover the 60th anniversary of D-Day and, there in Normandy. And it is just such a sobering moment when you step out there and look at all of those crosses. And I know that the both of you have spent your lives, in addition to all that you've done in your career and with your families, and you've spent your lives speaking because you don't want this younger generation to forget how important the greatest generation is, and what you all have contributed to our country. And so you go to these schools and you give all of these talks. What do you want this younger generation to know? And then for you, Bill, I want you to talk about the time when you were speaking and a student put their head down.
Bill?
Well, quite frankly, I'm a little bit tired of, with respect to almost over 100 years of going through all this, and all the stuff I'm doing right now. In fact, I just came back. Tanya and I, my youngest daughter, just came back from Michigan, where Benedict Smith, who's running for a U.S. Senator, and I spent a couple of days there honoring her and supporting her as a U.S. Senator. I've had the governor of nominee of California, and Steve Hilton has asked me to support him, which I will. I've had 3 other governors ask me to support them. And I don't know why. I have no idea, other than what we've been talking about here today, that evidently somebody feels something about what Jack and I did for World War II, and they want to pay us off in some fashion, one way or another, to asking our support, which and I looked very closely at them and whether or not I should or shouldn't. But each one of the guys I survey and research and make sure they're the kind of people that I want to support. But particularly Bernadette Smith, who's running for governor, who's running for senator of Michigan. And I went up there and spent quite a bit of time with her, in terrible times for Jet, my daughter and I. Like, anyway, I'm here in all seriously. I am so goddamn humble with this respect that anybody would ask me to support them in any way, shape, or form. I'm honored by that alone. If I don't even do anything for them, but just asking me is beyond belief. But I have a career that absolutely, I don't think there's anybody on this planet in the United States anyway that has done more for the defense and the offense and for the security of this country than the guy who's talking to you right now. I don't think there's a guy alive that can demonstrate to you what he has done in his lifetime. I think I'm in tears always telling you this, and it's not because of me. It's not. It's because of our country, but I want to leave a legacy to my family, what their dad, what their grandfather did for this fantastic country. And I will continue to the day I say goodbye. One last thing. I told my kids, if I'm on that gurney and I got one breath, just one, and don't you pull that plug. Don't you pull that plug, because I have one breath and I want to be able to live it. And they know that. So that's where I've got. I don't care what the pain is. I've told them that. Don't you pull that plug. And that's if I got one breath, that's it. So that's who you're talking to. I'm sorry.
We
but
know,
that's
we
the
know,
way-
Bill.
no, that's the way. Hey, that's the way. That's the way guys like Jack and I were growing up, and God damn it, we're still here.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Bill, I
Go
want
ahead,
you to
Jack.
tell real quick. Bill, I want you to tell the story.
Hang on, Jack wants to.
I have been asked many times to lead the Pledge of Allegiance at flags in meetings, and I feel so strongly that I look around the room and some of the people are so they're not with it, they're not paying attention, they're not really
Yeah.
interested. It just irritates me so much that we've got to go back to believing in the Constitution and in the Bill of Rights. Those people, those wonderful people that started this country.
Mhm.
But the politicians, I'd like to see someone voted to Congress who's going there and gets there and says, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm American. I'm going to represent all the American people. We're not going to play party politics while I'm in office. We've got to get back to basics, very strong basics. You've got to love the flag. You've got to love the country and obey the laws and just cut out this crap that's going on.
Hey, by the way,
Absolutely.
I just finished my bourbon.
We got more if you want to.
No.
Bill, I would like for you to tell the story, Bill, of whenever you were speaking to a class and a student put their head down and you shut that down immediately. Explain what you did and why.
Which was she talking?
She's talking about the story you were telling at the very beginning when you were talking to the class.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I don't even know where he came from, but he said he heard about me. Do you want to know whether or not I would come and speak to his class? And I said, sure, I would do this. Hey, by the way, this was after I went through a very, very, very serious medical problem, and I was in the problem of recovery. In fact, I was still there. And he asked me if I would mind coming to his class. This is when Westlake, which is Westlake, Jack?
Oaks Christian.
Yeah. So one of the local areas, which is one of the elite high school, junior high school people. And so he called me, and he did not know me, and I didn't know him. I said, yeah, I'd do that. So he said, well, I got 3 classes. Would you mind speaking to 3 classes? I said, hell no. How many classes you got? I'll talk to any one of them. So anyway, he set that up. And so you won't believe this. So I started, he picked me up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I started on his first class. And what I told him is, look, when I talk to your class, I have nothing to prepare. Anytime I talk, it's off the cuff. I just talk and let it go, and that's it. I'll take any questions you want. So he said, I want you anyway. So anyway, so I went to the first class. And the first class, I went and I talked for 1 solid hour, and I talked about nothing but the depression, nothing but the depression. So I taught the young kids all about the depression, where we came from, whatever. And the bell rang, ding, 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 and that class left. Now, I didn't leave anywhere. I sat by set while the students come in. When the new students came in, then the professor, what he did, he told them what I had talked about previously. And so anyway, I started on that. And then, so the next thing I talked about was, I talked about what I did during the war. Okay, and now the ding, 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 the class empties and they go out and the next class comes in and then I start out. So now, the first thing I told them all, the first class I told them all about the depression. The second class, I told them all about the war. The third class, when they came in, I told them everything I did after the war. In other words, I went through 3 classes, 3 hours, nonstop, no notes, no comments, nothing. And I talked about them and I gave them the thing and told them what the hell of it was going on with the thing. Anyway, and then I closed when I was closing out. Then the professor from the class next door came in. He says, "Hey, I just heard you give a talk. Would you mind coming and talking to my class?" I said, "No, I wouldn't mind doing that." So I walked over to his class and I said, "Look, I don't have much time because I got to get home." So he said, "Come in, just talk for me a few minutes." I came in and talked to him for 5 minutes, talked to that class. You wouldn't believe the reception I got. This is a history class. And I came out and I sat down waiting for somebody to come pick me up. And one of the kids from that class came out. He hugged me, kissed me and everything else. He could tell me that how much he cared everything I was
Oh,
saying. It was
oh,
unbelievable.
I
So
love
what's the
that.
bottom line? What's the bottom line of this? Jesus, God Almighty, they need me. They want me. I need to talk to people, tell them how great this country really is.
Yes.
Don't
Yeah.
they understand where we came from? That's where,
Yes.
hey, Jack and I did. You can't believe what Jack and I did. It just, you can't believe it. You just
It's
can't.
amazing. Yep.
Go ahead, Jack. Have something to add?
Well, going to these speaking at these classes, as Joe and I have talked about, you can tell by looking at the kids, some are interested, some are not interested. They're just waiting to get to the next one, or pick up the phone and call their girlfriend, whatever the case might be. And it's a shame, and it's a dirty shame. It's a dirty shame because this all we're talking about is so important. Is loving this country and
Yeah.
being you develop your skills. Maybe something you can contribute to the success of this country. But we've got to get, like Joe said, some of these politicians have made a mess of things. And we've got to somehow survive those messes and do the right thing.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up here.
No, wait, before you do it, John, I want to tell you one thing. When you wrap it all up, I want to say this. I hope what Jack Moran is his goddamn stuff that he went through in the Atlantic and what I did in the Pacific is recorded somewhere, someplace, somehow that this country realized what the hell they had in their hands defending this country. And damn it, you should make sure that you have Jen and me, Jack and me, like people like us, defending us, defending us. Do whatever you can to fight these crazy people who don't have what we fought for and what we will still fight for until our dying day.
No, that's what I was gonna say. What is your
Thank you
final
both.
thought that you'd like to say to the American people?
I just said it.
And I
Okay.
agree.
That was
Go
beautiful,
ahead,
Bill. What
Jack.
about you,
I
Jack?
agree with Joe. The average citizen has no concept of what was the price that was paid to
Yeah.
keep this country free and where we're headed. They just do their daily little thing, and that's it. They don't care. People have got to care. They've got to start care about what's
Yes.
going on in this world.
They need hope
Yes.
and purpose. Is that what you're saying?
Oh God, I hope, and I pray that God pick some of those people out of office and put in some decent people that would represent the honest, the good, honest American.
Well, I really appreciate both you guys. Go ahead.
I want to show, last thing before I leave.
Show the.
Yes.
Show the.
I can't see it.
No, don't worry.
Last
You're
thing
good.
before I leave. Look at this book.
Yeah.
Seriously now, I don't get one nickel, not one penny. I buy my own books, Anything that comes from this thing, and I told my writer, Steve Moore, if there's anything left over, I want everything to go to charity. I don't want nothing. If you send me a check, I'll send it back. I don't want to accept anything. And I want you to accept it for one thing and one thing only. I want you to honor Jesus Christ. I want you to honor these people who did the job for this country. Okay? That's my final word.
Yes. Wow. Two American heroes, Bill Dillon, Jack Moran, you two. We cannot thank you enough for the time you've spent with us today and
Thank
for
you.
the service
Thank-
you have
thank-
given this country.
And thanks, Stacy, for co-hosting this remarkable couple hours.
It is my
And,
honor.
And we hope there's anytime you guys want to come and talk,
Yep.
we'll put you on. 100%.
Thank you both. Thank you for what you stand for, and thank you for what you represent, and thank you for continuing to encourage the rest of us to rise
you.
up and try to meet that level where you are. Resilience,
Hey.
commitment, excellence.
Stacy, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you people listening to Jack and me and John. But
Yeah.
I hope you display what these two guys who are left from World War II and giving you the feeling that we have got. Get that feeling out there. And
That's
tell
right.
the people how
Yes.
we really feel and how we
Yes.
work. Well, how we work to make this country the most fantastic country that's ever been.